What if I told you that one of the world's most respected space agencies, NASA, has secrets buried so deep that even most scientists don't know about them? From mysterious missions that never made headlines to space experiments that were quietly buried, this is the story of what NASA never intended for you to find out. And once you learn the truth, you'll never look at space exploration the same way again. In the early 1960s, during the heat of the Cold War, NASA wasn't just a peaceful scientific institution. It was also a weapon in the great geopolitical chessboard between the United States and the Soviet Union. But while everyone knows about the moon landings and Mars rovers, very few know about Project Horizon, a secret plan developed by the U.S. Army and NASA to build a military outpost on the moon. Yes, a full-on base with weapons, soldiers, and nuclear capability hidden behind the veil of science. The public never knew because the mission was scrapped, officially. But some believe parts of it lived on in secret black-budget projects. Think that's wild? It gets stranger. In 1972, a NASA mission called Apollo 20 was allegedly canceled, but conspiracy theorists claim it actually launched covertly and visited the dark side of the moon, where an ancient alien spacecraft was found embedded in the lunar surface. While NASA has always denied the existence of Apollo 20, leaked footage and documents began surfacing in the early 2000s. Were they faked? Possibly. But the question remains, why would someone go to such lengths to fabricate a story involving specific coordinates, spacecraft blueprints, and even alleged alien bodies stored at a hidden facility? This wasn't just a fringe rumor. It was discussed in engineering forums and even made its way to whistleblower circles. And speaking of whistleblowers, let's talk about Dr. Norman Berggren, a former NASA engineer who publicly claimed that massive spacecraft were hiding in Saturn's rings. According to Berggren, these structures, he called them electromagnetic vehicles, were not natural and were actively manipulating the ring formations. His book, Ringmakers of Saturn, became an underground phenomenon. NASA never responded officially, but the images taken by the Voyager and Cassini missions showed unusual anomalies in the rings, gigantic shadows, strange symmetrical patterns, and even long vertical structures piercing through the ring plane. Could NASA be hiding evidence of intelligent activity in our solar system? The silence is deafening. Then there's the lost tapes. Yes, NASA managed to lose the original moon landing footage, the very first steps of humankind on another celestial body. In 2006, NASA admitted they could not locate over 200,000 original data tapes, including the telemetry data from Apollo 11. Their explanation? The tapes were probably reused. Think about that. The most iconic footage in human history, erased. Critics argue it wasn't just incompetence. It was deliberate, possibly to hide anomalies seen in the footage, like the odd movement of shadows, unexplained reflections, and strange radio transmissions that were edited out of public broadcasts. Even Buzz Aldrin once hinted at seeing something on the moon that he couldn't explain. Fast forward to the Mars missions. Ever noticed how NASA always releases black and white or low-resolution images initially, even though we know their cameras are capable of HD color? Why filter the data? Why withhold the clearest view of another planet? In 2015, Internet sleuths discovered high-definition images from the Curiosity rover showing what appeared to be a perfectly symmetrical object buried in Martian soil, almost like a mechanical part. It had edges, grooves, and even what looked like bolts. NASA's explanation? A rock with an unusual shape. But when researchers enhanced the image, the detail was stunning. So why was the original hidden in a dataset that wasn't easy to access? The same goes for the face on Mars, a feature on the Cydonia region that looked eerily like a human face. The original image from Viking 1 caused a global stir. Later, NASA released higher-resolution images that seemed to debunk it, but some believe the new images were digitally altered to suppress public interest. Let's talk about space sounds. In 2012, NASA's Voyager probes recorded eerie plasma wave emissions, literally space sounds, that resembled haunting melodies. These weren't random noises. They had rhythm, structure, and frequency changes that some audio engineers say resembled communication patterns. NASA released some of them, but others were withheld. Why? One insider claimed that certain frequencies triggered strange vibrations in laboratory equipment. The data is still classified. And what about the so-called space jellyfish? In 2015, several residents of Florida saw a bizarre glowing structure in the night sky that twisted and pulsated like a living organism. NASA claimed it was a rocket test, but even experts noticed that the structure didn't behave like a typical fuel trail. It expanded, changed shape, and maintained cohesion in a way that defied physics. Some believe it was an atmospheric entity, or perhaps an unknown life form reacting to a rocket exhaust. NASA's response was swift and dismissive, but independent scientists were never given access to raw data. There's also the curious case of missing astronauts. In the early 1970s, audio tapes surfaced from shortwave radio enthusiasts who claimed to intercept conversations between astronauts who were never officially listed on any mission. These voices spoke of seeing lights moving in formation and structures not made by nature. The tapes vanished after private collectors were visited by government officials. NASA never commented, but insiders believe secret test flights were conducted under the guise of space research, flights involving experimental crafts like the X-37B, a military spaceplane whose true missions are still classified. And then there's the UFO question. While NASA has long stayed silent on unidentified aerial phenomena, their recent shift in tone is telling. In 2023, NASA announced a formal study into UAPs, saying they wanted to bring scientific rigor to the topic. But why now? What changed? Some say private companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin began recording anomalies during launches, forcing NASA to act. Others believe leaked Pentagon footage made the silence unsustainable. Either way, the sudden interest seems more like damage control than discovery. And it gets deeper. In 2018, a hacker named Gary McKinnon was accused of breaking into NASA and Pentagon servers. What he found was explosive. References to non-terrestrial officers and fleet-to-fleet transfers that suggested a secret space program far beyond the International Space Station. The U.S. government tried to extradite him for over a decade, labeling him a national security threat. McKinnon maintained he was looking for evidence of free energy and alien contact, and that he found it. NASA never addressed the contents of the files, only the illegality of the intrusion. Why not refute the claims directly? Perhaps they couldn't. Some of the most mind-blowing claims come not from outside researchers, but from NASA's own former employees. Dr. Ken Johnston, a former NASA phototechnician, claimed he was ordered to destroy original lunar images that contained evidence of artificial structures on the moon, domes, towers, and even what looked like roads. He didn't destroy them. Instead, he kept copies and shared them years later, sparking outrage in the space community. NASA disavowed his statements but never provided proof the originals still existed. So what exactly is NASA hiding? Is it alien life, secret technology, or just embarrassing mistakes? Some say it's all of the above. Others believe it's more about control, controlling the narrative of humanity's place in the universe. If the truth challenges what we've been taught about our origins, our uniqueness, and our purpose, maybe it's not just science at risk, it's society itself. But the age of secrecy may be ending. With private space companies, global access to satellites, and AI tools analyzing every pixel of public data, it's getting harder to hide the truth. Perhaps the next big revelation won't come from NASA, but from a teenage coder or an amateur astronomer streaming live on YouTube. The universe is too big, too mysterious, and too interconnected to be kept under wraps forever. So the next time you look up at the stars and wonder what's really out there, just remember, some of the answers may already be known, but kept hidden for now.